Have you ever wondered why airlines tell us to switch to airplane mode before takeoff? Is it about safety, etiquette, or just an old rule nobody thought to remove? Today, we'll cut through the myths and explain the real reasons, the history, the technology, and one memorable takeaway you can use the next time you fly. First, what is airplane mode? It's a setting on your phone that turns off its radios, usually cellular, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth transmissions, so the device stops sending and receiving signals. On many phones, you can turn Wi-Fi or Bluetooth back on while staying in airplane mode. But the key action is stopping the phone's cellular radio from talking to cell towers. A simple way to think about it: turning on airplane mode is like asking a crowd to stop shouting so a few people can have a calm, private conversation. The radios on your phone are broadcasting into the air. Airplane mode asks them to be quiet. Where did the rule come from? The origin is mostly caution. In the early days of widespread mobile use, regulators and airlines worried that thousands of small transmitters in a confined metal tube might interfere with sensitive avionics, the instruments pilots use to navigate and control the aircraft. There were anecdotal reports and a lot of uncertainty, so aviation authorities adopted precautionary rules: limit passenger transmissions during critical phases of flight. But that's not the whole story. Over time, engineers tested aircraft systems thoroughly. Modern planes are designed with shielding, redundancy, and fail-safe systems. In controlled tests, a single phone rarely causes a critical failure. So if phones aren't a proven crash risk, why keep the rule? The answer has two parts: avionics caution and network behavior. First, avionics. Aircraft instruments are designed to be resilient, but aviation is a conservative industry. When lives are at stake, regulators prefer to err on the safe side. Even a tiny risk, or an unexpected interaction in a specific model of plane, is enough to justify a simple enforceable rule. Second, and more important for understanding the real mechanics, is how cellular networks work on the ground. Phones constantly search for the best tower and hand off connections as you move. That signaling is designed for people traveling along the ground at walking, driving, or commuting speeds, not flying at 500 miles per hour at 30,000 feet. A phone on a plane could try to connect to many towers in rapid succession, or attempt to reach towers far beyond normal range. That creates extra signaling traffic that cellular networks weren't built to handle. Imagine thousands of phones in dozens of planes overhead, all frantically ringing different operators at once. That can overload the control channels of cellular networks and cause dropped calls, lost data connections, or degraded service for people on the ground. This problem is especially acute during climb and descent over populated areas where towers are densely packed. To protect networks on the ground, regulators and carriers preferred a simple rule: don't let devices transmit at altitude. There's also a passenger behavior angle. Phone calls, loud videos, and constant notifications can interrupt safety announcements and create chaos during takeoff and landing, the busiest parts of the flight. Airplane mode eliminates that variable. So how do airlines handle in-flight connectivity now? Technology and regulations have evolved. Many carriers offer onboard Wi-Fi, and regulators in several countries now allow the use of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth at all phases of flight. That works because onboard Wi-Fi systems and cockpit instruments are tested to coexist, and the airplane's networks are isolated from ground cellular towers. When airlines want to offer cell phone service in a plane, they do it carefully. They either install a small cell inside the cabin, a femtocell or picocell, that devices connect to at very low power, and that small cell backhauls calls and data through satellite or an approved ground link. Or they use satellite links that don't interact with ground towers. Those setups prevent passenger phones from trying to talk to dozens of ground towers at once. Regulators have also relaxed some rules. The FAA and other agencies now allow many forms of wireless use during flight, provided the airline demonstrates there's no harmful interference. But turning on airplane mode is still the simplest way to ensure everyone's devices behave until the airline says it's okay to switch radios back on. There's one more practical reason people often forget: battery life. When a phone is moving fast and can't lock onto a stable tower, it increases transmit power and constantly searches, draining the battery. Airplane mode stops that, saving power on long flights. So what should you remember? Here's the takeaway. Airplane mode exists primarily to stop many small transmitters from creating radio noise and signaling chaos, protecting both aircraft systems as a precaution and the cellular networks on the ground. It's less about a single phone bringing down a plane, and more about preventing cumulative problems and keeping order on board. In short, it's a simple, effective rule that balances safety, network stability, and passenger experience. If an airline offers onboard Wi-Fi or cell service, that means engineers have tested systems so devices won't interfere with avionics or cellular networks, and it's safe to use those services as directed. Otherwise, the safest bet is the little airplane icon. Flip it on, and let the plane and the ground networks breathe. Thanks for watching. If you liked this clear, smart explanation, subscribe to Explain Engine for more short dives that reveal how everyday systems really work. Remember the takeaway: airplane mode isn't about fear, it's about preventing noise. Keep your device quiet, and the plane and the networks run smoother.